All right, let's talk about something exciting, turning that dream of owning a piece of land in South Africa into an actual hold-it-in-your-hand reality. We're going to map out the entire quest for you step by step, so let's get right into it.
You know, Mzansi magazine really hit the nail on the head with this one. It is undeniable, isn't it? There's just something so powerful about the idea of having your own little corner of this incredible country.
So, that's the million-dollar question, right? It can feel like this massive, complicated process. But honestly, it doesn't have to be. We're going to break it all down and give you the roadmap you need to get there.
We've laid this all out as a 6-step quest. Seriously, think of it like that, a roadmap, where each stop is a vital checkpoint getting you that much closer to finally planting your flag on your very own piece of land.
And here it is, the whole journey laid out on the map. We're going to go through every single one, but let's kick things off with the absolute cornerstone of your entire claim, the title deed. Okay, step 1. Believe me, everything, and I mean everything, starts right here. The title deed isn't just a piece of paper. It's your gateway. It's the legal proof that says, yes, this land is exactly what the seller says it is. So, what do you actually do? Well, your first mission is pretty straightforward, but it is absolutely critical. You get a copy from the seller, you march it down to the Register of Deeds, and you basically play detective. You're checking every single detail against the official records, and you're looking for one very important word: encumbrances. So what in the world is an encumbrance? Think of it like a legal backpack that's attached to the property. It could be a mortgage, maybe an old unresolved claim, or some other kind of burden. It's something you absolutely have to know about before you even think about buying. All right, so you've done your homework. The title is clean. What's next? Well, now you need to know exactly what physical space you're buying. And trust me, guesswork is not your friend here. And look, this is one of those times where you absolutely want to bring in a pro. You're going to hire what's called a geodetic engineer, and they'll do a relocation survey. What you get is a super precise map of your land, which is hands down the best insurance against any of those stressful and super expensive arguments with neighbors about where your property ends and theirs begins. Okay, so you've got a clean title, you know exactly where your property lines are. Now it's time to make this whole thing official and put it all in writing. And this isn't just any agreement, we're talking about the deed of sale. This thing is legally binding. This is not a handshake deal, okay? It has to be signed by both you and the seller, and then, this is key, it has to be notarized by a notary public. That's what gives it its real legal muscle. All right, the next leg of our quest takes us into the wonderful world of taxes. Now, don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. There are 2 main payments, and the most important thing is just knowing who pays for what. And this breaks it down really simply. As the buyer, your side of the table includes the documentary stamps and the transfer fees. The seller, they're responsible for the capital gains tax, which is basically just a tax on the profit they've made from selling the land. See? It's a pretty clean split. So once the seller has paid their capital gains tax to SARS, that's the South African Revenue Service, they get a really important certificate. And when you see that certificate, you know you're on the home stretch. You are ready for the final step. This is it, the moment you've been working for. You pay your final transfer fees at the Register of Deeds, and then they officially surrender the owner's title and put it in your name. Now, a little pro tip here, be patient. Government offices can take their time, so a regular, polite follow-up call is a really good idea. Okay, so you've got the how-to down pat. You know the 6 steps. But what about the what? What are people actually doing with their land these days? Because land ownership is always evolving. Let's check out what's trending. The first big one we're seeing, people are heading for the hills. Literally. There's this huge move towards rural retreats. It's not just about finding peace and quiet. It's about building a more self-reliant, sustainable, off-grid kind of life. It's about creating your own little sanctuary. And kind of tied into that is this incredible boom in small-scale farming. You see it everywhere, driven by this eat local movement. It's so much more than just a hobby garden. It's about people wanting to reconnect with where their food comes from, one plot at a time. Now, let's switch gears a bit. Because owning land isn't always about a lifestyle change. Sometimes it's a really smart investment. Savvy buyers are looking for land in places with future potential. You know, where new roads or communities are planned, and they're seeing it as a powerful asset that will grow in value. And the last trend we're seeing is maybe the most heartwarming. It's this move away from me to we. There's this growing desire for real connection. People are realizing that owning land can also mean building a community, pooling resources in places like eco-villages to create a more collaborative way of life. Whew! So there you have it. We've walked through the entire quest, right from that first crucial check on the title deed all the way to the final transfer. And we've even taken a peek at all the amazing things people are doing with their land today. Look, the path to owning land isn't some big, scary secret anymore. The journey is clear. You have the tools, you have the 6-step framework, and you can now go into this with the confidence to make really smart decisions for yourself. And that really just leaves one last question, doesn't it? The most important one of all. We've laid out the map, we've looked at the destinations, from quiet retreats to bustling communities. The adventure is officially yours to begin. So, what piece of Mzansi reflects your dream?